Hi everyone. As part of the COVID-19 level 2 response, if you're running a hospitality event or a comedy show or something like that, you have to maintain a contact tracing log of everyone who comes in. It's got to contain the person's full name, their arrival date and time, their departure date and time, their address, their email and their phone number. Now you can do this on paper, but if you don't want to have reams of paper hanging around for 2 months until it's time to destroy them, you can also do it electronically. There are probably apps around for this, or you can very simply do it in Google Forms. And I'm going to show you how to create a Google form that contains the contact tracing and saves to a spreadsheet. So without further ado, I will get started. And I am using Google Drive for this. So I will tell it new, under more, Google Forms, and it creates my form. First thing I do is give it a title. This will be shown to the user. So something that makes sense, and a description. I've got some boilerplate here that says why we're collecting it and what we're going to do with it and when we're going to delete it. Don't bother trying to copy this off the screen. I will place it in the description of the video. And then on to the questions. Okay, we don't need to capture arrival and departure times because that will be automatically captured by Google Forms and put into the spreadsheet. But we do need to know whether the people are arriving or departing. So I'll use a drop down for that, and option 1. Arriving and departing. Now, practically every question in this form is going to be required, so we have to toggle that on. We have to toggle it on for every single question. But on to the next one. Full name. Shouldn't need a description. It's a short answer. It's required. And on to the next one. Address. It wants to be a paragraph. I assume that will do. On to the next one. Postcode. Not officially required, but if someone just gives a street number and name and a postcode, that is sufficient to identify where they live. It's required. We're going to want to validate this. It's got to be a number, and we use 4-digit postcodes in this country, so less than or equal to 9999. Okay, then we get on to the person's email address. Now, again, we're going to want to validate this. And I'm going to validate it as being a thing called a regular expression, which is basically a pattern matching thing. Again, don't worry about copying this down. I didn't write this, by the way. I found it on the internet, but it validates that it is an email address in the form of user at domain name. And just in case people don't understand how their email address is supposed to be formatted, we'll give them a custom error that says it's got to be user at site and some sort of suffix. And finally, we are on to the phone number. Again, this is going to be another regular expression. This is a really quick and dirty one I did myself, and it's not terribly clever, but it does pass valid phone numbers and will reject most invalid ones. And customer digits, dashes and spaces only. Although we do allow the plus and the hyphens and brackets and things like that. Okay, at that point we've finished all the form things. We need to do a couple of setting things. The first is I'm going to require sign on off, because this is Google Apps for domains, and this has been publicly available and not just for users of my domain. And the other thing is there's a setting here that respondents can edit after submit. We need to have that turned off. And the reason is that the date and time stamp, if they edit it, will get lost. Bit of a pain, but that's life. Okay, so let's give this a test. Save those settings. And we'll click the send button. Now I want a short URL because I'm going to want that later when I go and create a QR code. So I'll copy that in. I'm actually going to do this in a different browser because I don't want it to autofill with my details. But under normal circumstances, people will probably find it convenient to have autofill. Okay, I am arriving, yes. My full name is Julia Clement. My address is 123 this street. My postcode is 123456, which is too long and is going to produce an error message. There we go. It must be a number less than or equal to that, so I'll just shorten it. My email address is obviously julia@somedomain.com. And my phone number is +64 because I'm in New Zealand, 9 because it's Auckland, 1234567. And submit. And there we are, I've now entered it. So if we come back to the form, and we now have a response, which we can go and look at. And it's not going to be terribly useful, so we won't bother about that. What we will do is we will create a spreadsheet from all the responses, and every time a new response is added, it will be automatically added to the spreadsheet. So we're going to create a new one and create. And after a second or two, here it comes, and we see the first line. The second line will go down, which will probably be me departing, and so forth and so forth. And each line has a date, unfortunately in American format, and time. And there we are. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is create a QR code so that we can print it out on a piece of paper with a bit of explanatory text and have people hold their phones up and go and enter it. Now, I'm using a thing called qrcode-monkey.com. There's lots of QR code generators around on the internet. I like this one because I find it really easy to use. You probably will find another one that you prefer. Well, you might like this one, who knows. Anyway, create the QR code. There it is. I'm not going to actually do it now, but you can then download the PNG, throw it into your word processor, and print it out. And that's it. You now have a contact tracing form. You don't have to store reams of paper. You've just got a nice spreadsheet. 2 months goes by, you can delete the relevant lines from the spreadsheet. Everything takes care of itself. So be kind to everyone out there.